Saturday evening to everybody out there in Folklore Forest land, out there in YouTube land. Hope everybody is having a great weekend. We're just coming to you with our regular overnight shift. This one actually is going to be a little shorter. We're not going to run the stream all night, but we have a few newer videos to run this evening, starting right there on the top left. So we'll be playing those in over the top there for you, inserted into our Folklore Forest cemetery. So let's see. We have a lot of people just waiting to come in, and we'll probably just say hi there to Eleanor Salas, our moderator, and Pamster 2x4b, also a moderator, and I know Druid is with us right now. So as usual, we're into subscriber mode for now. Yeah, thank you everybody for your huge support as well. For those of you who've checked out some of the shorts recently, we've been kind of playing a little bit. I want to talk about that just a teeny bit, actually, the AI aspect to that now that YouTube have sort of introduced. And I'm not a huge shorts fan personally, so we did sort of do that just as a bit of fun. And also a kind of it's a metric for us to look and see what YouTube are kind of trying to do, because it's not exactly a popular thing, and for some people, and there's quite a lot of flack, let's say, to the use of AI, and even to the point where some creators are actually getting content pulled with accusations of being using, AI content when perhaps they haven't. So it's a bit of a grey area. So we just messed with that for fun, and they did really well. But again, it is just fun. But yeah, hope everybody's chilling out. What kind of a weekend we're having so far? This weekend we actually managed to get back up into the woods and take a look at what's going on up there, and have a good look at all the fallen wood and branches and all the trees. So there's quite a lot to cut up for firewood for this season. That's good news for us. A little bit of clean up. I did kind of have a fire, but the wood is still a little damp in the center. It looks good at first, but it won't catch very well. So we just got rid of all of our snow. In fact, off in the distance there on the camera, overlooking the graveyard, you can see there's still a little white patch there, which is just the last bit of snow that's fighting on, holding on to life. But it's fluctuating temperature wise, but we are getting towards spring now, thankfully. So next couple of weeks we're going to start seeing the leaves on those trees starting to come out, and that place will fill up. In fact, probably have to go out there now and again and just trim around the camera because it could get hidden. It might not have a view. So but again, we are placing more cameras out there for this summer, so looking forward to that. Alright, so I'm probably going to keep popping in, guys. We've got a little bit of news I'm hoping to see. So if we have particularly Irish camp, I think it's Irish trail cam clips. It's a bit of a tongue twister for me. I've been kind of watching some of their trail cams, some of the footage they've been getting, very good, excellent quality. And so they actually suggested a story which I'm going to read live at some point to camera, but not tonight. And it's basically a shape-shifting story from Ireland, and it features a creature called the puka. And basically it's a folklore story, a mythology story about a shape-shifting creature which basically kidnaps lonely or weary travelers. And I think that the punchline is kind of like, if it's the horse, I think sometimes maybe a horse, and if you take a ride on that horse, it takes you for the ride of your life. And you're never seen again. So I'm really interested in that. That's a piece of Irish folklore, so we're looking into that one, and I'll probably just read that one day, like I said, one evening, probably maybe tomorrow, as a live read. And so for tonight, we're just going to be getting ready for sunset to come in. It's still daylight. That should be with us in the between now and 7:30, 8 p.m. here now. As I said, spring is coming, so the sunsets are a little later, and then we'll be switching into night mode automatically. So I'll run the video for you, and I'll take a little break. I'll come back and join you in a little while, but feel free to use the game, Folklore Forest Quests, and also take part in the live chat, or just sit back and enjoy some of the video. Well, I'll see you a little bit. Old paths remember things. That's what the elders of Bramble Hollow used to say, back when the village was little more than stone cottages clustered around a common well, and everyone knew which roads were safe after dark. The path that curved past the hollow was older than the oldest roof beam, packed earth smoothed by boots and cartwheels, older than the boundary stones themselves. And on cold nights, when frost silvered the hedgerows and the fog pressed low against the fields, lantern light used to drift there. Not from anyone, just there. The Lantern Watcher was never spoken of loudly, not because he was feared exactly, but because naming it felt like calling to something that already knew your voice. Those who claimed to see it described it differently. Some said it was tall and spare, wrapped in something like a traveller's cloak, though no wind ever stirred it. Others swore, though, that it was nothing more than a shape the dark made when it grew tired of being empty. But all agreed on the lantern, iron-bound, old-fashioned, with glass gone cloudy from age, glowing with a steady warmth like embers banked for the night. The light never flickered. That's how you knew it wasn't human. The Lantern Watcher did not hurry. He did not speak. It stirred at bends in the path beyond the last cottage, where the road narrowed and the fields gave way to twisted hawthorn and low, whispering trees, always just far enough ahead that you could see it, but never quite reach it. When travellers followed the glow, just to keep their footing, just to feel less alone, the path seemed to soften. Frozen ruts smoothed beneath their boots, briars leaned aside, and the cold loosened its grip. Some arrived at their doors sooner than expected, hearth fires still warm, as if they'd never gone out. And others found themselves before places that should not have been there. Stone foundations swallowed by moss, empty doorways leading to nowhere, or cottages that felt known in the bones despite never having been lived in. There were rules, passed down like recipes and warnings. Never thank the Lantern Watcher. Never ask it to guide you. And if it ever stopped walking, you stopped too. Now, no one could say where the rules came from, only that ignoring them never ended well. One winter, after a snowfall so heavy it bowed the orchard trees and swallowed the field walls, a newcomer arrived in Bramble Hollow. He had the look of a man between places, boots worn thin, cloak patched, and confidence born of disbelief. When he saw the lantern ahead of him in the old path, he laughed, called out, asking if the bearer knew the way to the main road before the night fully set in. The lantern halted. Those watching from the far edge of the field said the light dimmed, not by much, only enough to feel it. Then it turned and began to drift from the path, slipping between the trees where the fog lay thickest. The man followed. By morning, his footprints ended cleanly at the hollow's edge, pressed sharp into the snow. Beyond that, there were no tracks at all, no signs of haste, no signs of fear, just the quiet sense that he had stepped somewhere winter could not reach. After that, small things changed. Lanterns burned longer in the village without being trimmed. Doors were sometimes found latched against the wind, even when no one remembered closing them. And on certain nights, when the fog crept low and the bells in the distance fell silent, a warm glow could still be seen drifting along the old path, pausing patiently at the bend beyond the last stone wall. Some say the lantern watcher keeps travelers from wandering forever. Others say it chooses who does. But the elders of Bramble Hollow still say the same thing they always have. If you ever see that steady golden light waiting for you on a dark road, mind your steps, follow only if you must, and whatever you do, don't speak to it. Because old paths remember things, and in places this old, they remember everyone. Appalachia isn't a single place on the map. It's a region defined less by borders and more by terrain, by ridgelines, hollows, and valleys that fold in on themselves. It's a long, weathered spine of mountains stretching from the southern edges of New York and Pennsylvania, down through West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, and deep into the hills of Georgia and Alabama. These are among the oldest mountains on Earth, older than the Rockies, older than the Alps, worn down not by violence, but by time. Time. The people who have lived in Appalachia for generations will tell you that age does matter. That the mountains remember things newer places never had time to learn. You don't usually enter a place like Appalachia all at once. You feel it happen. The roads narrow, cell service fades, and the land arises closer, as if it's listening. Also, sound carries differently here in Appalachia. A creak can be heard long before it's seen. At night, the darkness feels heavier and somehow closer. There's an old saying in some hollers, spoken half in warning and half in explanation. If a chimney is still standing, someone is still there. Not living, just not gone. Across Appalachia, stone chimneys stand alone in fields, on hillsides, and deep in forests where houses once stood. Since then, the walls have collapsed and the roofs caved in decades or even centuries ago. Trails that once led to front doors have vanished beneath leaves and moss. Families moved on or died out, or were carried away by work, war, or the slow pull of the outside world. But when all the people are gone, the chimney remains. To outsiders, these structures look like simple ruins, remnants of poverty, fire, or abandonment. But to many Appalachian families, they represent something else entirely. These lone chimneys are markers, and there is a quiet rule, passed down without ceremony. If the house is gone, the chimney stays. Often in early Appalachian homesteads, before any walls were raised or floors were laid, the chimney was built. This makes sense, considering the hearth was the center of daily life. Food was prepared there, clothes were dried there, and children learned to walk there. During the long winters, when heavy snowfall caused mountain passes to close, and families went weeks without seeing another soul, it was the hearth that made survival possible. When sickness came, beds were dragged close to the fire, and when death came, which it often did, the hearth bore witness. Bodies were laid out nearby, prayers were spoken there, and final goodbyes were said in the flickering firelight. In Appalachia, stone not only absorbs heat, it absorbs memory as well. So, what happened when a home burned, collapsed, or was finally abandoned? Well, families were warned not to disturb the chimney, of course. In parts of eastern Kentucky and West Virginia, the warning was simple: leave it be. You didn't tear it down. You didn't haul the stone away for reuse. And you didn't clear the foundation just to make the land look tidy. In sections of the Blue Ridge, the advice carried a different weight. If you must rebuild it, you build around it. The old chimney was incorporated into the new structure, even if it no longer served its original purpose. The old chimney became a reminder, visible proof that someone had endured on that land before, and to remove it was an invitation for loss. Stories still circulate through coal country to this day, along the eastern Kentucky and West Virginia borderlands, of chimneys that were dismantled against better judgment. The stones were reused for foundations, garden walls, even barns. Practical choices, sensible ones. After all, good stone was hard to come by in the mountains, and nothing went to waste. But soon, trouble followed. New foundations cracked without explanation. Walls shifted and split, making them useless. Humans weren't the only ones noticing something off about these new structures. It's been told that animals would refuse to enter the barns built with the old stone, spooking and barking as though something inside the building unsettled them. In more than one telling, the chimney stones were eventually carried back and stacked again where the original hearth once stood. Some might say these events happened because the place was haunted. But, as locals quietly put it, the stone had been returned to where it belonged. After that, the trouble stopped. In Appalachian belief, a hearth fire was thought to guard the household, not only from cold and hunger, but from wandering spirits, ill intent, and things said to move through the mountains after dark. Some families believed a fire never truly went out, it only slept. And even when a house stood empty for years, the memory of the fire remained in the chimney. To dismantle that chimney was to scatter something that had once been contained. And memory, when displaced, doesn't always rest quietly. Back in the 19th and early 21st centuries, burial was not always formal in isolated mountain communities. Doctors were far away and infant mortality was tragically common. Cemeteries could be miles away, accessible only by narrow trails, and winters were harsh. Some families chose to bury stillborn or newborn children close to the home, and sometimes beneath the hearth itself. Here, the warmth and proximity were believed to offer protection in both life and death. In parts of western North Carolina and the Blue Ridge, elders warned that certain chimneys stood watch over small, unmarked graves. To remove the stone was to disturb a rest that was never meant to be temporary. When this warning was ignored and illness followed, it was not always regarded as a curse. It was a consequence. A standing chimney with no house is a liminal structure. It's neither home nor ruin, past nor present. Appalachian folklore places great importance on thresholds, doorways, creek crossings, ridgetops, and even dusk and dawn. A lone chimney becomes a vertical threshold, connecting earth and sky, memory and forgetting. Liminal places are where boundaries thin. Many Appalachian families trace their ancestry to Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and northern England. In those regions, chimneys were believed to be passageways, not only for smoke, but for spirits. In fact, protective objects were hidden inside them. Iron, shoes, bones, and written prayers are just a few examples. Those beliefs eventually crossed the Atlantic and took root in the mountains of North America. Spread over such a vastly large area, the lessons adapted over time from region to region. In the northern reaches of Appalachia, for example, Chimney lore often leads toward warning and bad luck. If you travel further south, warning becomes more about respect and remembrance. In coal camps, chimneys are tied to labour, loss, and sudden disappearances. And in farming communities, the lore is connected to lineage and land. They might all be different mountains, but they surely come with the same caution. Regardless of where in Appalachia you hear this folklore, one aspect remains constant, that the land itself is aware, mountains watch, and forests listen. A standing chimney is a marker of humility, a quiet acknowledgement that someone endured here before you, and removing it can be seen as a challenge. Today, hikers, hunters, and photographers still stumble upon lone chimneys deep in the woods of Appalachia. These are areas with no roads nearby and no houses for miles. They take photos, wander around and speculate, and then move on. Locals, on the other hand, often feel something heavier and impactful at these sites. Some won't step inside the old foundation stones, and others won't touch the rock at all. Even still, many will say the same thing: that's not ours to mess with. So, is Appalachian chimney folklore all about ghosts and superstition? Or is it about something truly timeless? Perhaps it is an understanding that some foundations are meant to remain, even when their purpose is no longer visible. A chimney standing alone says that someone else lived here, someone endured the winter here, someone was loved here, and the mountains remember them well. So, if you find yourself on a back road or walking a ridge at dusk, and you see stone rising from grass or forest, will you leave it standing? Not out of fear, but out of respect? Well, that's for you to decide. There we go. One of my favourites, actually. I really enjoyed that one. So, just a quick pause before we kind of move into the next video, just briefly. Yeah, we're just watching the sun beginning to set over to our right, on the camera, the west over to our right. When we could actually just spin that around if we wanted to, but I think we'll be fine for now. I was just explaining real quick that the camera has this weird effect. I missed it yesterday, where everything looked very green and lush, which is what it would look like in the summer. And just before I went to sort of grab a picture of that on the camera, it switched to night vision. So yeah, but it's very nice. Like I said earlier, the trees are that big oak trees. They really are, they do have leaves. They look dead, but right, they're not. So everything will be covered in foliage soon, and then the leaves will be cleaned up. We'll see the grass again. So it doesn't look much in winter, but it's very lush in spring and summer. So yeah, okay. I'm glad everybody's having a good time. Thanks for coming in, stopping by. We're just again, just running a couple of hours tonight, just a few videos, and just hang out for a little bit. And then obviously, maybe I think High Plains is doing a live tonight too, so if you wanted to stop in and drop in and see what he's up to and say hi, that would be cool. So, let me see. Yeah, I'll be just hanging out a little bit. I'm going to keep running the video so we don't go too much overtime. And let's see what we have next. Thank you for your support, guys. Evelyn's first mistake was buying the car in cash from a man who wouldn't look her in the eye. The sedan wasn't much to look at. Dull grey, dented, a little rust along the doors. It ran cheap, and she needed something reliable. The seller muttered a warning as he signed over the title. It doesn't like to be ignored. Then he walked away. At first, she thought it was just an old beater, and with a few quirks. The headlights flickered, the glove box wouldn't stay shut, and the radio never turned off. Just a steady hiss of static, no matter how hard she turned the knob. But soon, the car started showing a will of its own. The first time was a stoplight. She braked, but the sedan kept rolling forward, forcing her into the intersection. Horns blared as traffic screamed past. Evelyn jammed both feet on the brake, and at the last second, the car halted on its own. Like it had decided when to stop. She told herself it was bad brakes, but the next night it happened again. This time, the car jumped a red light, ignoring her frantic stomping on the pedal. A truck missed her by inches. When she finally coasted to the shoulder, she sat gripping the wheel, shaking as the radio crackled with faint laughter. Days turned into a blur of close calls. Sometimes the accelerator pressed harder under her foot, dragging her faster than she meant to go. Sometimes the wheel twitched sharply, steering her toward guardrails or into the path of oncoming cars. It was never enough to kill her outright, but just enough to make her feel the heat of a collision, the brush of death passing too close. And through it all, the radio whispered. At first, it was static, then faint words, a calm male voice, low and steady. Let me drive. Evelyn stopped sleeping. She stopped eating. She stopped going anywhere unless she absolutely had to. But each morning, the car waited for her, parked neatly outside her building, keys in the ignition, headlights angled toward her door. One night, after yet another near miss on the highway, Evelyn yanked the wheel into a gas station lot and fled. She left the car idling, doors wide open, and ran the rest of the way home. But when she got there, the lights in her apartment were already on, and sitting neatly on the kitchen table, her car keys. Her stomach dropped. She hadn't brought them. She had left them in the ignition. The next morning, the sedan was parked at the curb outside of her building, engine cold, doors unlocked, radio silent, waiting. She told herself she wouldn't touch it again, but later that week her phone buzzed with a text. No number, just 4 words. Time for a ride? That night, neighbors reported seeing a grey sedan tearing through the streets without headlights, swerving wildly, never stopping at intersections. Some swore there was no one behind the wheel, and others swore they saw a woman inside screaming. The car hasn't been seen since, but every so often people claim they hear tires screeching late at night, followed by faint hiss of static drifting through the dark. They say pukwujis don't like to be seen. Small, grey-skinned tricksters with spines like porcupines and eyes like glow like dying embers. Some stories say they were once friends to humans, until jealousy turned them cruel. Now they haunt the edges of the forest, where the trees grow thick and the mist never lifts. Aaron didn't believe in any of that. He'd grown up in southern New England, hearing the tales from his grandmother, who called them the little men of the woods. But he was a rational man. Folklore didn't scare him. Bears did. Coyotes, ticks, not pukwujis. So, when he bought an old hunting cabin deep in the pines near Freetown State Forest, he thought the warnings were just local colour. He learned it differently the first week he stayed there. It began with footprints, small, human-shaped prints, barefoot, appearing in the forest just outside his porch each morning. He'd wake up to find them circling the house, never leading in, never leading out. Then came the noises. Soft giggles that echoed from the tree line after dark. Rocks clacking together in rhythmic patterns, like someone knocking just to see if he'd answer. One night, his generator shut off without warning, and he stepped outside with a flashlight and saw a figure crouched by the fuel tank, small, no taller than his hip, with coarse grey hair and long fingers tipped in black nails. It turned toward him. Its face was almost human, but wrong. Too smooth, too deliberate, like someone had carved the idea of a face from wet clay. Its mouth stretched into a sharp and natural grin. Aaron stumbled back, the flashlight flickered, and in that instant of darkness, the thing vanished. He locked every door, stuffed towels under the sills, and sat up until dawn with his rifle. When daylight came, he found the generator cover torn open and his flashlight lying on the porch, its batteries neatly removed. The local ranger he called the next morning didn't seem surprised. "You're near the old quarry, right?" he said. "You might want to leave an offering." Aaron laughed, thinking it was a joke, but that night he heard scratching at the windows. The same giggling, now closer, circling the house. His phone buzzed with no signal, the battery draining before his eyes. Then came the smell, sweet and metallic, like copper mixed with rotting leaves. He peered through the curtain and froze. There were 5 of them now, small, stooped, their eyes glowing a dim amber. They stood at the edge of the porch, whispering in a language he couldn't understand. One of them held his missing flashlight, another clutched a feathered charm, his grandmother's, which he kept by his bedside. Aaron didn't sleep that night. When dawn came, he packed his truck and drove until the trees thinned. In his rearview mirror, he thought he saw one of the creatures standing in the road behind him, hand raised in a mocking wave. He hasn't gone back since, but sometimes, when the nights are still and the wind moves through the pines just right. He swears he can hear that same soft giggle on the edge of the forest. They say boogoojis don't like to be seen, but if you ever do see one, it's already too late. The year was 1907. The woods of northern Michigan were still wild then. Long stretches of pine and cedar where the fog hung low and the wind never stopped whispering. Somewhere between the old logging roads and the riverbank, a man named Caleb Holt stumbled through the underbrush, bleeding and breathless. He'd robbed the payroll train 2 days earlier, killed a man doing it. Now, the sheriff's posse was close behind. He could hear their dogs in the distance. By nightfall, the woods swallowed him whole. He pushed through the dark until he saw it. A crooked shack leaning in the pines, its windows glowing faintly from the last scraps of daylight. The place was draped in dream catchers. They hung from the eaves, the porch beams, the trees themselves. Hundreds of them. Some were new and tightly woven, others were rotted, their sinewed cords broken, feathers grey with age. They swayed gently in the wind, whispering as if speaking to one another. Caleb thought it was the strangest thing he'd ever seen, but it was a shelter, and the law wouldn't find him here. He pushed open the door. Inside, it was worse. Dream catchers everywhere, hanging from rafters, nailed to the walls, and stacked in the corners. Their threads quivered, even without wind, and the whole room smelled faintly of smoke and sage. He dropped his satchel of stolen bills on the table and lit a lantern. Dust floated like ghosts in the beam. As he turned to close the door, a voice behind him said, "Best not stay there long." Caleb spun, hand on his revolver. An old native man stood in the doorway, holding a bow across his shoulders. His expression was calm, unreadable, like he'd been expecting him. "Who are you?" Caleb barked. "Hunter," the man said simply. "This is not my house. It belongs to the Dreamcatcher." Caleb frowned. "Looks like a heap of sticks to me." The man stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "Long ago, a man stayed here too long. He laughed at the warnings, like you, and when the snow melted, they found him wandering by the river. His eyes were white as milk. He said something had crawled into his dreams, a spirit that made him see every bad thing he'd ever done, made him do things he didn't want to do. He clawed his own face to keep from sleeping." The old man's voice dropped lower. After that, he vanished. The house stayed. So did the spirit. These, he gestured to the hundreds of dream catchers, keep it from leaving. Caleb smirked. "Appreciate the bedtime story, old-timer, but I'll take my chances." The hunter sighed and turned to go. "Then I'll say this. When you hear it whisper your name, don't answer." Caleb watched him disappear into the trees. That night, he bolted the door and threw another log on the fire. He tried not to look at the dream catchers, but it was impossible. No matter where he turned, one seemed to hang just at the edge of his vision. Their webs pulsed faintly in the firelight, like veins under the skin. As the hours crawled by, sleep finally took him, and then the whispering began. At first it was soft, just like the wind through the trees, but soon he could hear words carried on the flicker of the flames, a low voice calling his name over and over. Caleb. He jolted awake. The fire was nearly out. The dream catchers swayed through the air, although it was still. Caleb, why did you do it? He grabbed his gun, eyes darting around the room. The voice came from everywhere, from inside the walls, from inside his head. You took what wasn't yours. You spilled blood for it. Now we share the same dream. His breath came in short grasps. He fired a shot into the ceiling. The sound exploded through the cabin, and every dream catcher trembled at once. Something unseen moved through them. The webs stretched and shimmered, their threads twisting like living things. One by one, the feathers turned black, the beads glowing faintly red, like tiny eyes opening in the dark. The next morning, when the posse finally tracked his trail, they found his campfire still warm. The shack stood silent, its door hanging open. There was no sign of Caleb Holt, only his revolver lay on the floor. It rusted overnight, and in the center of the floor, a new dream catcher, freshly woven. Its web glistened as if wet, a single dark feather hanging from the center. When the sheriff touched it, he swore he heard a faint whisper from somewhere deep inside, a man's voice still calling his own name. Whoa. Yes, so we'll pause the video there for a minute. What did you think to those three, huh? The haunted car, the Christine sort of car. You know, a lot of people would probably think it sounds a bit like Christine. And they'd be right, it kind of is. I always think it's kind of like the sister to Christine. Carolina. You know. But yeah, good story. I like that one. The last one, particularly the Dreamcatcher's house, I do like that too. And then, of course, there's the one, I think, with Decker in it, which is one of my favourites. But I hope everybody's enjoying themselves and relaxing this evening. We're looking at the night vision camera over the cemetery now. And as I said earlier, we can rotate that if we want to. But, you know, for now, I think it looks pretty good. And you never know what we might see, you know, that whether it be ghosts or ghoulies or critters or wildlife, yeah. Oh, who knows? You know, I might even see me out there one of these days, just messing around. Who knows? I could do that during the live stream. Just run outside, you know, and put a cape on and run across there somehow. No, I wouldn't do that. Okay, so we'll carry on with the rest of the videos for a little bit. I just like hanging out and checking out the views with you guys. So just to remember, thank you for playing the game along in the chat there. I hope you're enjoying that Folklore Forest game. I think it's a little fun. And, you know, we're going to be adding more to that over a little time, so it'll expand. And good, Kissy Pixels, yeah. Hi, say hello to you. Good to see you in again. Yeah, a little bit shorter this time, Kissy. Tonight, we're not going to do a marathon overnight. We'll just keep you know, busy, that's all. And some people do need to sleep, so. Yeah, Ellen is Yes, some of them are a little creepy, that's true. Okay, so let's see. I'm not exactly sure what's up in the playlist, so I'm not cheating. If I know, I don't. So, um, but we'll carry on with the next one, shall we, and see how far we get with this one. Which one is it? And have we seen it before? I thought that said actually I don't have my glasses on. I thought you said it gives me chillies. It's chills. Good. We'll see you in a little bit. Oh, it's the winter. Okay, let's. When winter arrives, it does more than change the weather. It changes people. Across the world, for thousands of years, winter has been the season when the veil between the everyday and the sacred feels thinnest. It is a time when stories deepen, families gather, and entire cultures pause to mark the longest night of the year, the winter solstice. In this episode, we are travelling across continents and centuries to explore the winter rites of the ancient world. Traditions that range from beautiful to bizarre to completely forgotten. From Persian families keeping back the darkness with fruit and flame to an eternal clash between two seasonal king brothers. Some of these stories may feel familiar, others might surprise you. So, settle in and let us begin our journey through winter around the world, forgotten solstice traditions. In the Nordic lands, the solstice marked Yule, the ancestor celebration of Yule. Families feasted, lit fires, and shared stories. But outside, something more ominous stirred. Long before Christmas lights twinkled across suburban rooftops, people in ancient Scandinavia watched the winter sky for something frightening. Not snow, not storms, but the wild hunt. The legend tells of a ghostly procession, riders thundering across the night sky, cloaks whipping behind them, hounds baying with glowing eyes. Their leader changed depending on the region. Sometimes it was Odin, one-eyed and wise. Sometimes the Stormbringer Thor led the charge. Sometimes their leader was a mysterious, unnamed king of the dead. However, one thing remained certain. If the wild hunt passed overhead, you stayed inside. It was believed the riders swept up the souls of the wandering dead, and sometimes they took the living. People left out offerings of bread, ale, or hay for Odin's eight-legged horse, Sleipnir, hoping to keep the hunt satisfied and moving along. Some families left unfinished weaving outside. If the hunt borrowed the thread and returned it untouched, it meant the household was protected for the coming year. Even the iconic Yule log was not just for warmth, it was a shield against the riders above. As the northern winds howled, people looked toward the solstice sunrise with relief. Some historians think this legend helped inspire our modern Santa Claus mythology. The idea of a powerful being soaring across the winter sky, visiting homes and rewarding offerings left by the hearth. But the original version was much darker, much wilder. In Scandinavia, winter was not just a season, it was a presence. Travelling southwest across the sea, winter takes on a mythic shape in Ireland and the Celtic lands. Here, the solstice was not only about the turning of the sun, it was about war. A mythic eternal clash between two brothers, two seasonal kings, each representing the rising and falling of the year. The Holly King, ruler of the waning year, his cloak a deep green, his crown made of red holly berries and thorns. He is the cold in the wind, the encroaching darkness, the frost that creeps across abandoned fields. He holds power from midsummer all the way to the solstice, and on the longest night he stands at the height of his strength. But then, in the deepest hour of winter, his brother awakens. The Oak King is the spirit of returning sunlight. He is young, bright and fierce. Every spark in the hearth, every newborn calf or budding seed sleeping under the frozen soil, that is him. His power grows as the days lengthen. On winter solstice night, these two kings meet in combat, and the Oak King wins, reclaiming the world for warmth and life. 6 months later, at the summer solstice, they meet again, and the Holly King takes his revenge. A perfect cycle, death and rebirth, darkness and light. In some Irish communities, families hung both oak and holly over their doorways, creating a symbolic peace between the brothers to bless the household. Holly branches in windows were believed to distract winter spirits, and oak embers on the hearth protected newborns and travellers. Today, most people know holly only as holiday decor and oak as firewood, but once these plants were kings. As we leave the Celtic lands behind, we travel east, where another winter legend tells of a sun that once disappeared entirely. In Japan, winter is tied to a story about darkness and the goddess who brought back the sun. According to Shinto mythology, the sun goddess Amaterasu retreated into a cave after a bitter argument with her storm god brother Susanoo. With Amaterasu gone, the world fell into darkness, crops died, animals suffered, and the gods panicked. To lure her out again, the gods held a massive celebration outside the cave. There was drumming, dancing, and laughter with joyous noise. They even hung bright mirrors in the trees to reflect light into the darkness. Finally, a curious Amaterasu peeked her head out from the cave. She then saw her own reflection in the mirrors and stepped forward. When she emerged, all light had returned to the world. During the winter months in Japan, many families still celebrate Toji, a solstice tradition involving warm yuzu baths, lanterns and symbolic foods to cleanse the body and encourage good fortune. Some temples perform rituals that reenact the calling back of the sun, a reminder that even in our darkest seasons, warmth and light can be invited home again. From Japan's warm baths and sunlit myths, we journey west into a land where the solstice is a confrontation with darkness itself. In Iran, the longest night of the year is celebrated with one of the oldest surviving solstice festivals, Yalda, a tradition dating back to Zoroastrian times. Families gather to stay awake through the night, guarding themselves against misfortune, because ancient Persians believed darkness was dangerous, a time when evil spirits stirred. So, how did they protect themselves? With fruit, pomegranates, watermelons, and bowls of nuts were set on the table. Their bright colours symbolised the sun's life-giving energy, and the ruby seeds of the pomegranate represented the fire inside every living being. By eating these fruits together, families believed they were strengthening their inner light, helping them endure the long night until dawn. Poetry readings, especially from Hafez, remain central to Yalda celebrations. Even today, many families stay up past midnight, holding vigil until the new sun has safely risen. The idea is that wisdom, beauty, and shared stories can keep back any darkness. I'll just take a brief pause there for a second or two, and welcome in friends Moondrop Alchemist. Yep, you're welcome there, Moondrop. Good to see you. I know you're having your a live premiere tomorrow, so tomorrow morning I believe at 11 a.m. if I'm correct. So we'll drop that link in for people if they wanted to check out the channel tomorrow. Some paranormal investigations and many other things. We're just basically running a 2-hour stream this evening, and just running some of our older videos. Hope you enjoyed the winter solstice one's one of our favorites, and the Oak Kings. So some interesting, actually quite a lot of people don't understand the traditions and where Christmas comes from. And basically it is, basically just taking the pagan traditions, the old traditions that date back thousands of years from Celtic peoples in Europe, like mine, for example, in Scotland and Wales and Ireland, throughout Europe, to other places, right through Greece. So it's a real throwing together and a hodgepodge, as you want to say. And sometimes, when it comes to saying those words, for me, it sticks in my throat. But I am honourable to those people that are my friends who tend to believe in that. But yeah, okay, yeah, 11 a.m. for Moondrop Alchemist tomorrow, guys. Check their channel out. And we're looking forward to seeing some of their paranormal investigations. So, and spooky graveyard adventures, who knows. So I'm going to keep on rolling the video if you don't mind, guys. So just we're on a time thing, so I hope you're enjoying this so far. I have no idea which one is going to be up next, so it's just as much as a surprise for me as it is for you. But I hope you're enjoying the game, and that we're playing right now in the text chat there. That's just a little fun. If you haven't tried it, give it a try. It's fun. And then obviously we'll just keep rolling the video. But I wanted to stop in and say hello real quick. Yeah, deconstructing and celebrating all of the pagan holidays this year, part of last year. Yeah, lots to catch up on. Yeah, for us, we took this property over last May. So we're approaching our first year actually in the property, and it's huge, So we didn't get to do a lot of stuff that we wanted to do last year, but this year we are gearing up for the same sort of thing. So it's a bit of a remodeling as well for us, new studio as well, bigger studio, and green screen and then more multiple cameras. But we're really interested in the paranormal as well. So having the graveyard next door, it's it's a spooky place anyway. But there's history there that I'm interested in. That researching the history of the families, and their stories. And then I think maybe a paranormal investigation, they might be able to contact, people who, because certainly that tree in the center of frame is what I call the witness tree, Moondrop. I mean, that tree has been there. It's an oak. It's a big oak. There are three in there, and then we have two just on the other side of the camera here. But yeah, it's a witness tree, and it's bore witness to whole entire families coming and going, and some of them very tragically. The Williams family in particular is one that I want to focus on and see what local records I can find and their history. In the 1700s, children passed away very young. Husband passed away young, 40 years. Wife survived him for another 30 odd years, 40 years perhaps. So, and I want to know their history, but they're all buried together. And one of the children only lived for 5 minutes, and I think it actually says it on the grave. So it's impactful emotionally when you go there. Yeah, you can't be not touched by it. But the one thing that struck me was the tree when I turned around. And I just felt a communication, and I sort of said, yeah, you've seen it all, I can stand next to you and touch this living tree that bore witness to these people's lives. So I think that's kind of point that I want to get across when I do the investigation and any kind of, story related to that. So, yeah, great to see you. We will be stopping by tomorrow and checking out your your show, Steph. And so hang out with us if you can for a little while. I'm going to keep running the video for the guys, and I'll be back in a little while. From the deserts of Iran, we now travel to Africa's highlands and coasts, where the solstice was measured not just by seasons, but by stars. In regions of Ethiopia, Eritrea and Somalia, winter has never been just about cold. It is about the sky. Ancient priests of the Aksumite Empire tracked the solstice using tall wooden staffs and shifting shadows, a system older than many European observatories. Many communities traditionally watched the heavens during the longest nights of the year. A cluster of stars, often associated with the Pleiades, was believed to signal shifts in weather, animal migrations, and spiritual tides. During these winter nights, people lit protective fires and kept vigil, not to celebrate, but to ensure safety, because the solstice was thought to be a liminal time when spirits wandered freely. If the stars appeared bright and clear, it meant the coming year would be prosperous. If clouds obscured them, or if strange lights danced on the horizon, people prepared for hardship. In some communities, elders told origin stories and lineage histories beside the fire, passing knowledge from one generation to the next. In North Africa, Berber tribes performed the Old Year's Fire, burning thorn bush branches to cleanse homes and drive away illness. But a nearly forgotten belief says this: water left outside on solstice night beneath the first rising star would absorb protective spirits, but only if placed with reverence and only for one night. Winter was not just a season, it was a school of memory. Now we cross the ocean to the Americas, where midwinter carried its own spiritual weight. In indigenous cultures across the Americas, Winter solstice traditions vary widely, but many share a theme of renewal. For instance, in parts of Mesoamerica, ancient Maya cities aligned their temples and pyramids to capture the exact moment of the solstice sunrise. A cosmic reminder that time itself was sacred. In the American Southwest, the Hopi marked the solstice with Soya, a ritual ceremony designed to call back the sun. Kachina spirits, powerful beings connected to fertility and weather, returned to the villages during this time. Homes were once sealed with protective cornmeal lines, and children were given feathers to help lift the sun through ceremonial dances. Prayers, dances, and blessings all prepared the community for the new agricultural year. Farther north, among the Iroquois, the midwinter ceremony includes dream sharing, storytelling, and dances meant to cleanse the village of negativity before the new year begins. Across the Arctic, Inuit villages faced weeks of unbroken night. Shamans performed spirit invitation rituals, ensuring the sun's safe return. Additionally, some families hung fish bones near doorways, a forgotten tradition meant to attract ancestral help. Across all of these cultures, winter was not something to dread. It was a doorway to renewal. Now we travel across the Pacific. Here we find a culture where the solstice marks not just the sun's rebirth, but the cosmic balance of yin and yang. In China, the winter solstice is celebrated through Dongzi, meaning the arrival of winter. Some scholars believe that Dongzi was once considered more important to ancient peoples than the Lunar New Year itself. At first glance, Dongzi seems quite simple. Families gather, they honor ancestors, and eat special foods like tanghuan, sweet glutinous rice dumplings whose shape symbolizes unity and renewal. But behind the custom lies an ancient cosmological idea. Winter solstice is the moment when yin, the cold, dark energy, reaches its peak, and yang, the warm, vibrant energy, is reborn. This is why Dongzi is seen as a time of cosmic balance, a moment when the universe resets, a turning point where life begins growing again, quietly beneath the frost. Ancient Fontu tellers used the solstice as a cosmic reset, the one night when destiny itself was believed to rewrite its course. Arguments were settled before this night, so resentment did not carry on into the coming year. Through all of this, balance, both cosmic and personal, began anew. Today, many people not always think about yin and yang when they eat their winter dumplings, but the symbolism is still there. Warmth overcoming cold, and unity overcoming isolation. On distant ocean shores, solstice meant watching the heavens for something else entirely. Across Polynesia, Micronesia, and Melanesia, winter solstice traditions are intertwined with one ancient skill: navigation by the stars. For thousands of years, Pacific navigators read the night sky like a map. The rising of the Pleiades signalled the new season, marking a shift in the star paths overhead, especially the rising and setting positions of important stars used for navigation. In Hawaii, it marks Makali season, dedicated to Lono, god of peace, rain and fertility. Some islanders believed that winter nights opened a doorway for ancestral spirits to visit, travelling on the solstice winds to guide sailors navigated by the stars. Launching a canoe during this time was considered sacred, as the ocean itself was a pathway between worlds. In places like Hawaii and Samoa, winter was a season for story songs, passed down through generations. These chants served to teach which stars led to which islands, which winds followed which seasons, and how to survive long voyages across the open ocean. While Western cultures often saw winter as a time of stillness, the Pacific saw it as a time of orientation and a moment to understand your place in the cosmos. And finally, we have arrived in Southeast Asia, where winter nights carry their own quiet magic. In parts of Cambodia, Thailand, Laos and Vietnam, long before modern calendars, older winter customs revolved around ancestors. As the year died, it was believed the spirits of the departed became more active. Some villages performed rites involving symbolic bone cleansing, not with real bones, of course. These representations were carved or sculpted with the purpose of honouring the dead and purifying the household for a fresh start. Others stayed awake through the longest nights, keeping lanterns lit so wandering spirits could find their way home. Winter, to them, was not frightening. It was a family reunion between the living and the dead, supervised by candlelight. Ancient Khmer folklore tells of a night when the soul might wander during sleep. To protect themselves, families placed small knives beneath pillows, not to harm, but as symbolic tools meant to cut off misfortune. This practice, nearly erased after the fall of the Angkor Empire, lingers only in scattered rural stories. The winter solstice was a night to stay aware and to keep watch as the world shifted towards light. From the wild hunt soaring across the Nordic sky, to the Oak King rising from the midnight soil, to fruits glowing ruby red on Persian tables, to star navigators watching the heavens, and those helping guide wandering spirits home, every culture found meaning in the solstice. Because winter is more than cold air and long nights. It is a reminder that the world turns, that darkness peaks and then fades, that light always returns, slowly but inevitably. And every December, whether we know it or not, we are all participating in humanity's oldest story, the celebration of surviving another year and welcoming the light that is on its way. Thank you for joining us on this winter's journey, and until next time, stay warm, stay curious, and may the returning sun find you well. Along Alaska's southeastern coast, where I'm going to to pause the video right there just for the, it just came in real quick. So yeah, thank you. That's a great episode. I'm glad you enjoyed that. And yeah, just following through with what Eleanor was saying real quickly there, just to improve the camera image there for the cemetery is our next goal, and also for when we are outside again, because it's a new setup for, different from last year. Many people won't have seen what we were doing last year, and some of it's so old, it's so far back that, but what we're doing this summer is a big improvement on that. So with the campfire stories and other things that we've mentioned before, but it's a long list too. So like many of us, we're all trying to get what we can in there, and then it's time to actually get to do it and get the right time. So the long live streams are sort of cool for some things. Gives people time to just hang out, but there's shorter ones like this, I think. At least no one's tied in, for a long period of time. So yeah, excellent. Thank you everybody for being with us tonight. Hope you're having a wonderful Saturday evening, just chilling out with us here at Worldwide Folklore Tales. And I'm going to keep running this video for you. And let's see what this one is. It looks familiar to me. Does it to you? The forest presses close to the sea, and fog moves like something alive. There are sounds you are taught to ignore. Waves breaking against stone, ice shifting in the tide, and voices that sound almost right. The Tlingit people have a name for what makes these voices. Kushtaka. They are said to be shape changers, part otter, part human, belonging to the narrow places where land, river and ocean touch. Not fully one thing or the other. Not meant to be understood the way animals are understood. Only avoided. The old stories say the Kushtaka do not announce themselves. They do not roar or rush or reveal sharp teeth. They call softly, using sounds that draw people closer without fear. A baby crying near the shore. A familiar voice calling your name through the trees. Or the sound of someone struggling in cold water. The voice is never quite urgent enough to panic you, just enough to make you hesitate. Those who have lived along the coast for generations know the rules. If you hear something calling for help where no one should be, you do not answer alone. If you hear your name spoken from the fog, you do not follow it. And if the shoreline goes suddenly quiet, you turn back, even if you're certain someone needs you. One fisherman told of hearing laughter while checking his nets near dusk. It sounded like children playing somewhere down the beach, just beyond the bend of a rock where the fog thickened. He stood there for a long moment, trying to place the sound. There were no children in his village. And when the laughter shifted, stretching, slowing, almost leaning the sound as it made it, he felt the cold crawl up his spine. He backed away without turning his back to the water, just as he'd been taught. By morning, his nets had been neatly gathered on the shore. No tracks, no signs of hands, just wet rope laid out as though someone had meant to help. Others speaking of seeing shapes moving through the shallows of night, upright for a moment, then slipping smoothly beneath the surface. Too fluid to be human, and too deliberate to be an animal. Sometimes people are found later, confused but unharmed, far from where they last remembered standing. They speak of being guided through the forest, kept warm and told to rest. They never describe faces clearly, and they never return to the water the same way again. The elders say the Kushtaka are not evil. Not exactly. They are keepers of thresholds, creatures of the in-between. They protect their shores the way storms protect the sea. They do not hate people. They simply do not want them wandering where they don't belong. And that is why, even now, people in the coastal villages lower their voices near the water at night. They travel together when the fog comes in thick, and when someone hears a sound that doesn't sit right in the chest, they pretend they didn't hear it at all. Because in Alaska, the land listens back. And if you answer every voice that calls to you from the dark, eventually something will learn how to sound exactly like someone you trust. That's the beauty. There is a popular legend behind the large white cross that has stood on the edge of the top of Maiden's Cliff in the Camden Hills for more than a century. It was believed for many decades the cliff received its name after a heartbroken woman threw herself from the cliff, distraught over the loss of her lover. But this romantic tragedy is not at all what really happened. Long before Lincolnville Beach was known by its name, it was known as French's Beach, named after its founders, the French family. On May 6th, 1864, the youngest daughter of Zadok French, 12-year-old Eleonora, and a few of her siblings joined a group heading to the top of the cliff for a picnic. In a detailed account given by Eleonora's sister years later, she said she believed that while her back was turned, a gust of wind blew Eleonora's bonnet off her head. Eleonora reached for it, not realizing how close she was to the edge. She fell 300 feet down and survived the fall. But it was hours before rescuers could reach her. There were no visible injuries to her. She didn't have any obvious broken bones, but presumably her internal injuries were very, very severe. Unfortunately, Eleonora did not make it through the night. As the years passed, Eleonora's story still lingered in the Camden-Lincolnville area. It touched one wealthy tourist in particular, inventor Joseph B. Stearns, who decided the young girl shall never be forgotten. He paid for the first white cross to be erected at the edge of the cliff that has remained a marker on Maiden's Cliff to this day. With ghostly sightings of the young girl around the cliff being reported for over a century, this might just be one of the most haunted hiking trails in Maine. This disturbing tale allegedly took place 25 years ago at an old abandoned well in the town of Sabattus, Maine. The exact location of this well is still speculated. However, we can bring you to the general location of where this mysterious incident took place. One day, a trio of preteen boys came upon an abandoned well behind an ancient barn at the far end of a long forgotten cemetery. The area was known to be haunted and therefore prompted a dare. The boys dared each other to go down into the uncovered well. Only one of the boys accepted the challenge, eager to impress his friends. His friends, giddy with excitement, found some rope laying around, as well as a small tire for the kid to sit on. They lowered him down into this deep, dark well until they lost sight of him completely. That's when things became eerily quiet. The boy in the well wasn't saying anything, and there was no movement on the rope. With haste, the two boys pulled their friend back up and were stunned by what they saw. The boy's hair had turned pure white, and his appearance was that of a haggard old man. He had aged decades somehow in the few minutes he was down there. When his friends were able to pull him onto the ground beside the well, the boy began laughing maniacally with dark and wild eyes, and he trembled with terror. When questioned about what had happened down in the well, the boy responded with gibberish. He had apparently lost his mind and gone insane. According to locals, the boy was never the same again, his condition incurable. He was sent to the county institution to live out his days as an asylum patient, where, many say, you can still hear him screaming from the windows. Further north, in Aroostook County, the town of Haynesville was settled in 1828. By 1832, a road was completed connecting Haynesville and a military post in Halton for easier transportation of supplies. Before the major highway was built, this road was heavily used by trucks carrying Maine's potato harvest out of the state. The road is known today as one of the most haunted roads in Maine, as a great number of truckers have died along that stretch of road. This is no surprise, given the treacherous nature of the road. Buried deep in the woods, with low lighting and hairpin turns. One night, a newlywed couple were traveling along a stretch of this dangerous road on a dark winter night. The story goes that the groom was drunk and lost control of the car, hitting a telephone pole, which killed him instantly. The young bride survived, however, and after crawling from the wreckage, she made her way back to the snowy road. There, she waited for hours for someone to drive by and help her. The bad weather conditions that night meant nobody was traveling, so the woman never received help. It is reported that she has remained in the same place in her wedding gown where she eventually froze to death. Supposedly, the bride can still be seen wandering along the side of the road, searching for help that never came. Travelers on the road have reported seeing the woman in the white gown outside of the Haynesville woods. Some even claim to have actually spoken to the woman. In these situations, she tells the driver about the accident, but as the vehicle approaches closer, the woman suddenly disappears. Some drivers report to have felt a bitter chill in the air as she entered their vehicle. She directed them to the end of the road, whereupon she disappears completely, leaving behind only a bitter chill. There are places along the Maine coast where the sea feels older than memory. Seguin Island is one of them, a small rock of land off the mouth of the Kennebec River. Battered by wind and salt, it has carried a lighthouse since the late 18th century. Long before the mainland felt settled and long before anyone questioned what isolation might do to a person. The light was meant to guide sailors home. But for those who lived beside it, the light never rested. Keepers and their families spoke of the island as a place apart from time. Days measured by tides, nights ruled by the steady turning of the beam. When the fog rolled in, and it often did, the world shrank to stone walls, crashing surf, and the sound of the wind threading through iron railings. The lighthouse had one rule: it could never go dark. And in the mid-1800s, a keeper and his wife were stationed there together. Records described them as capable, educated, and prepared for isolation. To ease the long evenings, the keeper's wife brought a piano across the water, an unusual comfort on a rock surrounded by sea. At first, the music was a blessing. Sailors passing in the night later claimed they could hear it drifting over the waves, soft melodies carried by fog, rising and falling with the surf. It made the island feel alive, human. But sounds travel strangely at sea, and on Seguin Island there was nowhere for it to go. The piano echoed through the keeper's quarters, up the lighthouse stairs, and into the lantern room itself. The same tunes, night after night, repeated not for practice, but for company. As weeks passed, the keeper began to ask for quiet. The light demanded vigilance, the wind demanded patience, and the music, constant, familiar, inescapable, began to wear thin. The sea, after all, never stopped speaking. Accounts differ on what happened next. Some say arguments became common, and others insist the couple simply stopped speaking altogether. But what is known is that supply boats began receiving odd messages, requests to shorten visits or to hurry departures, to leave things at the dock rather than bringing them inside. When the piano stopped playing, no one noticed at first. And on a fog-heavy night, a relief crew arrived to check on the light. From offshore, everything appeared normal. The beam swept the water in its already steady, unwavering arc. But inside the keeper's quarters, the silence was wrong. The piano sat closed, cold and untouched. The keeper was found alone. What had become of his wife was never clearly recorded. Some say that she had been taken back to the mainland earlier, ill from the isolation. Others whisper that she simply vanished into the roar of the wind and water, swallowed by the island the way so many sounds were. The keeper himself never spoke of her again, and after that, no one stayed long on Seguin Island. Later keepers reported footsteps on the stairs where no one else was there, and doors found open against the wind. And on certain nights when the fog pressed close and the sea felt strangely quiet, music could be heard, faint, distant, as if drifting up from below the stone. Not loud enough to follow, but not clear enough to recognize. Just enough to notice. Today, Seguin Island Lighthouse still stands, its beam sweeping faithfully across the dark water. Visitors say it feels peaceful by day, bright, salt clean, and almost cheerful. But those who linger until dusk say something changes when the light begins to turn. The air grows tight, the walls seem to listen, and somewhere beneath the sound of waves and wind there is the faintest impression of a melody trapped in the stone, repeating itself, waiting for someone who has nowhere else to go. Because some lights are built to guide others home, and some never learn how to stop watching. Oh, it's a beautiful story. I really enjoyed that one. Gonna jump in quickly at some point. Just let this music play out for us a little bit. Yeah, awesome. Well, I hope you're enjoying yourselves. We're getting round to the last 30 minutes or so, just a little bit less perhaps, before we'll be wrapping the show up for Saturday night. But there's a little while to go yet. I can't get a break at this game that we've made. But it's all good. It's all part of the fun, isn't it? I'm losing all my Moonlight Marks. Oh no. Okay. Well, glad you're all here with us. Thank you for your support, guys. For those of you rewatching after the fact as well, thank you very much. Please remember to just hit that thumb thing that you're supposed to hit and say, hello, that was good. That'd be nice. Okay, on with the show. Okay. This is where the river keeps its promises. There's an old superstition where I grew up. If two lovers make a promise on a bridge, the river carries that promise straight to God. And if either of them break it, well, the river remembers that too. I first met Eleanor in the winter of 1893. She wasn't the sort of girl you forgot. Not because she was loud, but because she was quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you lean closer just to hear her breathe. She read poetry like it was a prayer, pressed flowers beneath the pages of borrowed books, and always wore gloves, even indoors. She said the cold bothered her bones. We walked together most evenings, down Market Street, past the churchyard, then out toward Ashbourne Bridge, where the river ran black and slow beneath the ironwork. She liked that bridge, said it felt older than the town, like it remembered things. And one night, snow falling soft as ash, she stopped halfway across and took my hand. "Stefan," she said, "if anything ever keeps us apart, promise you'll meet me here." I laughed. What could possibly keep us apart? She didn't smile back. "Just promise." So I did. February 14th, every year, no matter what. A week later, she had vanished. No letter and no goodbye. Her boarding room was empty, trunk gone. The landlady swore she left before dawn, just gone. I searched for months. Train stations, hospitals, church registries, even the papers. Nothing. It was as though the world had swallowed her whole. People told me to move on, but you don't move on from something that feels unfinished. So, when February came, I went to the bridge, like I promised. Snow had covered everything. The river barely moved. The town asleep behind me. Midnight came. Then past. No Eleanor. Just wind through the iron rails. "I can't come back," she said again. Like it hurt to speak the words. She told me everything in pieces, like confessing a sin. How she'd fallen ill, how a stranger had offered her another way, and how the earth had closed over her, how hunger felt like fire, and how nights felt endless. "I thought I could fight it," she said, "but the dark is stronger than love." She stepped closer. No footprints in the snow, none at all. "But if you don't have to lose me," she whispered. Her hand touched mine, ice cold. "You could come with me." She spoke of forever like it was a gift. No sickness, no aging, and no goodbyes. Just endless nights together. Walking the world while centuries passed like seasons. And for a moment, God forgive me, I wanted it. To never lose her again. To never stand alone on that bridge. And to never feel grief like that winter. But then I looked at her eyes and realized something terrible. They weren't hers anymore. Not really. They were hungry, always hungry. "If I go with you," I said quietly, "whatever comes back won't be me." She didn't argue, didn't cry, just nodded, like she'd known all along. "I had to ask," she said, "because I couldn't bear an eternity without trying." So we stood there together one last time, like we used to, watching the river. Then she pressed something into my hand, My old brass pocket watch. The one I thought I'd lost the day she disappeared. I kept it, she said, so I wouldn't forget the sound of time. And before I could speak again, she stepped backward over the railing and vanished into the dark water below. Silent, like snow falling. They dragged the river for weeks that spring. Never found anything. But every February 14th, I still visit Ashbourne Bridge. I leave a single rose, wind it in the old pocket watch and listen to it ticking. To remind myself, some loves are meant to warm your life, not follow you into the grave. In the wide plains where the grass runs long and the nights stretch open, there is a sound people hear or learn to fear before they ever understand it. A whistle. It carries on the wind, thin and wandering, drifting across fields and tree lines with no clear source. It rises and falls through a simple and even melody, notes that never quite settle where you expect them to. And those who live in the Llanos say the rule is this. Hey, DJ Dennis, welcome to the show. Good to see you. If the whistle sounds close, it is far away. And if it sounds distant, then El Cibon is already near. No one remembers exactly when the stories began. Some say the sound has always been there, stitched into the land like insects and night birds. Others claim it followed the cattle trails, arriving when people first tied to tame the plains. Excuse me. What everyone agrees on, though, is that the whistling comes from a figure that walks alone. El Cibon is said to move the open land at night. Tall and narrow against the horizon, never hurried. He carries no lantern, yet he is never lost. The wind seems to know where he is and bends itself around him, delivering his song where it will be heard. Travelers describe the whistle differently. Some hear it as lonely, others as patient, and a few say it sounds almost thoughtful, like someone counting steps in the dark. Those who hear it for the first time often stop what they're doing. They listen. That is the second mistake. The elders say El Cibon does not chase. He does not need to. The whistle does the work for him, pulling attention away from paths and fires and familiar sounds. The night grows wider, and when you listen too long, the land forgets where it placed its markers. Campers tell of moments when the whistle seems to circle them, through the melody never changes. Ranchers speak of hearing it from opposite directions at once. Dogs whine when it passes, refusing to lift their heads. And then there are the nights when the whistle stops. People say that silence is worse. One man, traveling home late with the moon low and red, claimed the whistling followed him for hours, always distant, always just beyond the next rise. He never saw anything, but he felt watched in the way you feel heat on your skin before you see the fire. When the sound finally faded, he hurried past the rest of the way without looking back. The next morning, he found footprints near his door, not leading in, not leading out, just standing there, pressed deep into the dust, as if someone had paused to listen. Some say Elsiborn is a warning, not a hunter, a reminder that night belongs to more than just people. Others believe he is the echo of a traveller who never reached home, still walking, still calling out to see who might answer. But no one stays outside when the whistling begins. They close their doors, they lower their voices, they let the sounds pass through the night without responding. Because in the plains, the land is vast and forgiving, until it isn't. And if you ever hear a whistle drifting softly through the dark, sounding far away when it shouldn't, don't follow it, don't answer it, and whatever you do, don't assume you're alone just because you can't see anyone. The night has a way of walking closer than it sounds. Wow, okay. Yeah, that's kind of a creepy little tale there, there's no doubt about that one. And as you can see, there was definitely a live reading there because I tripped up quite a few times. But at least it's in there, well, at least I'm being honest. But we enjoyed doing the live readings, so we're looking forward to doing more of them. And like I said earlier, we do have a couple of live stories that we're preparing to do and read. Um, and look at all of those moonlight marks everybody has. Wow, millions there. Is that Eleanor? Wow, you're far too rich. Anyway, so probably just going to call it a night for there, guys, and wind things down and let people get on. I also know that one of our friends is having a live stream as well. We might stop by, but getting a little tired too. So thank you again for stopping by, Eleanor, as well, and for Kissy Pixels, and also Pamster earlier. Just a shout out to everybody, iPlanes and Moon Drop Alchemist. It's been good, and for everybody that's just been hanging out with us, watching the video, and just enjoying the show, and maybe looking at the cemetery too. Come back and join us. Our next one will be a daytime stream. Might be tomorrow, but it could be Monday. But we'll put the notification out so in plenty of time. So set your notifications. You'll get that for the channel. And okay, have a great night, everybody. Thank you for being with us. God bless. We'll see you next time.